what are you waiting for? If you're a home buyer, sometimes we'll hear things or anecdotal things that people are like, well, I'm waiting for the mortgage rates to drop, or I'm waiting for something to happen, or I'm waiting for the market to crash. And so I thought it'd be interesting to kind of go through this. And so if you're waiting for the mortgage rates to drop, there's some pros and cons, right? Obviously, if mortgage rates go down, your cost burden is less because your monthly payment is going to be less if you're purchasing with a mortgage, right? Welcome to Albuquerque Real Estate Talk, mid-June 2026. I always have to say that. I know I recorded yesterday and my market update, and it was the 16th, so I should know that it's, mid-month. So how are you, Tracy?
I'm here. Let's do this.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
We are Tigo and Tracy Venturi Group, a real broker here in Albuquerque, helping people with real estate needs for many, many years. And what do we have this week?
So we've got a lot of things. I'm going to talk a little bit about luxury. Real Luxury sent me a T-shirt, and I wore it today for the first time, and it's a really nice shirt. It's good.
But it's a T-shirt.
I know it's a T-shirt, but it's cool.
You can be hip like the tech guys, the tech billionaires. They all wear T-shirts.
Black ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to be hip like the tech
or
guys.
Or hoodies or something like that. Yeah.
So, Tigo, we're going to do a little bit of stats.
Okay.
We're going to talk luxury just since I have my shirt on.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to start with the rankings that came out. So, RealTrends is...
Okay, I know. We got to do this. I know.
RealTrends, real estate companies across the country submit their statistics of their individuals and their teams and the data from the past year to RealTrends, and they verify the data. And they give out the stats and say, here's the number one team in blah, blah, blah. Here's the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individual realtor, things like that. Well, we were honored again to be the number one team with Real Broker in all of New Mexico and number 3 of all brokerages in New Mexico.
In New Mexico, yeah.
And when we talk about this, I know it's kind of embarrassing to bring it up and you don't want to talk about it, but I'm going, you know what? We have an awesome team, and this is not us. This is our team that's being recognized for outstanding performance, for being able to help people with buying, selling, investing in real estate, doing hard things and working through it and being top, right?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not big on bragging and all that stuff, and we've been doing this a long time, and we've gotten a lot of awards and all that stuff for production. But really, it comes down to the day-to-day taking care of our clients. And what happens if you do that is you have production, you get recognized for that production.
But the point I want to get to is we have the ability to work on a lot of different transactions, which gives us a lot of depth of knowledge when we're working with you as a buyer or seller. We've probably done it before, seen it before, or we have the resource to help you through whatever it is.
I'll give you an example. I was helping somebody try to figure out what's going on with a particular property. It has a lis pendens filing, which is a pre-foreclosure, and actually a foreclosure filing as well. And it had a notice of substandard on the city. It had this and this, and it's like, this brought me all the way back to 2010, 2011, where we were doing that on every single property and having to research all of this stuff and figure out what's going on. In today's market, we're not seeing a lot of distressed sales, people either in foreclosure or short sale. But it's like, oh yeah, I remember how to do this. I used to do this on just about every single property back in the day when, we had a lot of distressed sales, unfortunately. But yeah, it's like, it's just those years and years of experience. Yeah. You go, oh yeah, I remember how to do that. Yeah.
You knew where to go for it.
Right.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And, certified negotiation experts, many of us on the team have gone through that training. And there really is something to it when we're working for buyers and sellers to use those skills to make sure that our clients get the best care. So congrats to our team for being recognized as the number one real estate team in New Mexico with Real Brokerage and number 3 of all real estate teams in the state. So that's really fun.
Yeah,
fun
it's
news.
Pretty cool.
Okay, so
I wanted to, let's do something fun. We're going to do the Would You Rather. Okay. So Samuel, our producer, he's standing over here.
He's waving at us.
I know, he's waving at us. he's been both him and I have been geeking out on AI stuff, and he built this really cool tool that's on our website, and it's like would you rather, and it's a spin the wheel. Now we've been doing would you rather on the show here for a while, and so but what he did is built out this little tool, and you hit the spin, and I've got it on the screen here, and what
Oh, it
it gives us
clicks.
a few choices. Yeah, it's got sound effects and everything. But this was a question that I brought up, and I thought it was interesting, which was, would you rather have grass, like natural grass, turf, like artificial turf, or xeriscape, like, rock? What would be your choice,
So you
Tracy?
just spun the wheel for all of you not watching
Yes,
on the
yes.
screen. It landed on grass, turf, or xeriscape spelled incorrectly, which always stands out at me if you're
Yeah,
looking
yep,
online,
yep.
right? So we have a little spelling gene defect problem
Hey, that
sometimes.
wasn't me. It's
So
usually me that spells stuff wrong. So that
are
was AI that spelled it wrong? Oh, really? Okay.
are you asking me or are we just talking about
No,
them?
I'm asking you.
To me, I think there's nothing like real green grass. Put your feet in it, walk through it, water it, cut
Yeah.
it, do all the things to your yard and keep it beautiful. But I could see if, I was a different age and stage in my life where I had a small little yard and I was traveling a lot or not wanting to do those things, I would probably really love AstroTurf because I still love to see green. I'm not sure I want just,
AstroTurf. That's so old school from the
turf.
the Astrodome, and back in the day, it was the first stadium that used fake grass.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've had it all. We've got grass at our home right now, which, especially in New Mexico, it takes water, right?
Right.
And so, there's nothing quite like natural grass, but it does take water, it does take maintenance. And, it's sometimes, when we get these hot spells like we have right now, it can be a challenge to take care of it. The artificial turf I've used and I love, especially in small yards. It's a great way to just add that pop of green, relatively to take care of. It's not zero maintenance, but it still has, not a lot to do. The problems I've seen with it is poor quality that
Mhm.
and poor installs. If you have poor quality and poor installation of your artificial turf, it's actually going to end up looking worse than not. It's
Yeah.
the same thing with like wood floors in a house. If it's wood floors and it's poorly installed, it doesn't help the property. Same thing with that. And then of
I've
course
seen amazing xeriscape
oh, I
though. I
know.
mean,
Well, no, no. Well,
amazing
you
with,
said xeriscape. You mean xeriscape or you mean turf? We're talking about turf.
I know, I mean the xeriscape was
Yeah.
the three choices, right?
Right, right. The third
But
one. Okay.
zero, like no grass, no
Right,
fake grass.
right.
But I mean, I've seen amazing yards with native plants that flower and
Yeah.
just lots of them. So it can be beautiful too.
And again, that's not no maintenance also. I mean,
Oh
it's
no.
you still like every year I'm out there, making sure the drip heads are not clogged,
And I know
and
that's your favorite thing to do.
and with xeriscape, you always have to keep up on the weeds. That's another part of it, because no matter what you do, you're always going to have some weeds that come into your rock area. So anyway, they're just longer than we wanted to talk about that, but I think it's, those are the main choices here in New Mexico. Well, actually, no, there's a fourth choice in New Mexico, and that's native,
Yeah.
right? You think about certain areas, let's say West Side, Rio Rancho, some of those larger lots that have, sagebrush, you just leave it in the sagebrush.
Right. And if you do leave it, it's usually less weedy, right? As
Correct.
soon as you disturb the soil, like
Oh,
by
yeah.
grading or
Oof.
something to build your house, if they overgrade the area, then weeds come back. But if they just leave it, it's just the beautiful native sagebrush and
Yeah.
things. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. All
Okay.
right, let's spin again. All right,
Oh,
let's
we're
go.
going to do
We're
another.
going to do another one real quick. Yeah, yeah. All right, Tracy, here's a good one. This one's perfect for you because you've lived in both of these communities. Corrales or Albuquerque Country Club?
Oh, well, I have lived in both those areas. I like them both for different reasons. Corrales has a huge variety of what is Corrales, right?
Yeah.
You can be down next to the river in the bosque area where it's green, where you maybe have irrigation that you're keeping your yard, more irrigated or with horses or things, or you might be up on the side of the hill with big views. So it has different choices.
It's more of a small town village feel for sure in Corrales.
Yeah. Well, when I lived in the Albuquerque Country Club area, I felt like I was part of a neighborhood for sure, which sometimes in Corrales you can feel a little disjointed from people. They're all an acre apart or
Right. Yeah.
whatever.
Well, Corrales does have a 1 acre minimum for the most part. There's some half acres. I know.
And
There's
there's a few condos.
yeah, and there's a few condos, but for the
But
most part, everything's an acre or
and in
more.
Albuquerque Country Club, a more established neighborhood, you would kind of think. So what we know is when you buy in a brand new neighborhood, like where Pulte, D.R. Horton, Hakes, Abrazo, Twilight Homes, where they're building, typically all the new homes coming in, everybody moves in at the same time or as you go down the street, and they get to know each other, they're new neighbors, and they kind of get to know each other. If you're the new person moving into an old established neighborhood, you might have a really hard time meeting your neighbors. All that to say, when I lived in the Albuquerque Country Club, a very well established neighborhood, I knew tons of people in that neighborhood. I felt like I was a part of the community.
Yeah.
There were get togethers. I would ride my bike or walk around, and people would be out in the evenings chatting and everything. So
Well, and
I
that,
can see why both are good
yeah, and
options.
that goes to the personality of the person too. Some people are just, leave me alone. I want my privacy, right? You have those people. And then you have those people that are very social that want that social interaction on a regular basis. So, those are some of the choices when you're talking about, choosing a neighborhood
You
for
have
sure.
those choices wherever you move.
Oh,
If you want to close
absolutely.
up your house and not go out and know anybody, you have
Well,
that choice.
of course.
Whether
of
you're
course.
in a condo or whether you're in
That's true.
an acre,
That's true.
right?
All right. So that was Albuquerque Country Club versus Corrales. Very different. You've got the rural versus more of the established, larger estate, country club type properties and neighborhood. I don't know if estate's the right word.
Albuquerque Country Club is just kind of old Albuquerque. And it's not really, I mean, there's a huge variety of homes.
Well, the
and
architecture
things.
styles there are really cool.
Yeah.
Right.
And they vary from
Yeah.
house to house. It
Yeah.
wasn't a production built neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a luxury segment. Let's jump to that, Tracy.
Okay, well, like I said at the top of the show, Real Brokerage sent me my luxury shirt. I'm a member of the Luxury Realtors International as well as Real Luxury of
Yep.
our company. And I thought, well, I'm wearing my shirt for the first time. Let me give you some stats. So typically in any market in the United States, luxury is defined as the top 10% of the home price sold.
Correct.
Right? I just picked 750. We used to say it was around 650.
Well, I remember it used to be 4 not that long ago.
Yeah.
I say not that long ago. Okay, 10 years ago.
Do you remember when we were house shopping about 26 years ago or so, Tigo, or more maybe?
Mhm.
And we were going, oh my gosh, that's $500,000. I can't imagine paying $500,000 for a house,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So today, the production homes are $500,000.
Right.
Okay, so just a few quick stats. Luxury, I just chose 750,000 and up, 1 year back, and just in the metro area. So I took out outlying areas. I did not include Santa Fe, but Edgewood, Moriarty to Belen to Placitas through Rio Rancho are all included. Overall, 97 homes right now are on the market at 750 or more. They average 3,586 square feet, so pretty big house. The average price of all those homes is $1,040,000, and that equates to $297 a square foot. Of those 97 homes on the market, they are averaging 40 days on market right now. So they don't have offers yet, 40 days average. Obviously, some are selling quickly. So let's see, there's also 6 that are in coming soon status. They are high priced, starting at $372 a square foot, or averaging $372 square foot at 3,200 square foot size home. So there's some special properties in the pipeline. Let's talk about closed properties.
Yes.
Okay. All lot sizes. So I did 2 searches, and I did up to 1.2 acres and all sizes.
Okay.
Just to see what the difference was, because a lot of times the land value.
You're looking at 750 and above those still.
750 and
Okay,
above still, yep. There were 658 homes sold in the metro area in the last year, about at 750 and above.
Okay.
The average square foot was 3,662 square feet, bigger
3,600.
home.
Yeah.
They averaged $284 a square foot. They were on the market on average 62 days from going on the market to getting an accepted offer. And the average days on market was 62. Did I just say that?
You did.
I did. I looked down and got confused. Okay. And the average sale price was $1,027,000. And what's kind of interesting is the sales price to list price was about 96.82%. So basically, most people got about 3% off list price.
I wouldn't say most people. On
On
average,
average.
they got 3% off.
Yeah.
Overall. And something about that stat is that's usually the discount from what the price is at the time of offer, not necessarily the original
Right.
list price before they did, price reductions to get to the right
Right.
price. Yeah.
Right. For sure. Good point. Okay. So then I did it on up to 1.2 acres, right? So I took out maybe big parcels where the land value was maybe adding in
Sure.
and skewing the numbers a bit. 512 of them closed. So 140 or so were larger than 1.2 acres. So in the top one, they averaged 3,586 square feet. So pretty similar.
Yep.
About 100.
3,600. Yep.
Yeah. They closed at an average of 282 a square foot. The larger ones were 284, or the larger parcel included made it 284. And the average sales price was $1,907,000.
Got it.
Yeah. So, and they closed a little bit higher, 97.36% sales price to list price.
Well, and what I find interesting is in Albuquerque, let's say there were about 10,000 homes that sold last year, right? Which is about what it was. And so we had, how many you say, 600 total, almost
658.
700. Yeah, 650. So, that market's still, cruising along and doing well. And,
Yep.
What I'm seeing in the monthly data is some of those homes are still selling relatively quickly, over $1 million. We experienced that with some homes that we've represented recently where, over $1 million, over like 1.3, multiple offers, multiple people looking. So there's definitely a market for the luxury homes in Albuquerque for,
Yep.
certain homes, certain areas, and all that good stuff, of course, as always. So, Tracy, I wanted to jump to obscure stats.
Oh, yay.
Well, what's happened is I've got a new data source that gives us a deeper look into some kind of unusual stats, or not unusual. They're actually very informative and tell us a lot about what's happening in the market. But it's kind of hard to compile. And so anyway, long story short, there's two that I wanted to talk about. If you're looking at the screen, I've got both of them overlaid here. This is a 10-year chart, and we're looking at the pending fallout rate, and we're looking at the closed with concession. So pending fallout rate is the percentage of homes that were under contract and then fell out of contract.
Came back on market.
Yeah, and so basically back on market. So basically what it's saying is in May, it was about 18% of the homes that had a contract, fell out of contract, came back on the market. And I would say that tracks with our observations too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and most of the fallouts are because of, really, it's inspections. Most of the time, that's the number one reason deals don't come together, is because of inspections, buyer expectations, sellers expectations, and not being able to come to, a reasonable
resolution.
Thank you for answering I was looking for the right word.
Well, and what's interesting, Tigo, for people who can't see the chart, you haven't told me about this over morning coffee. And
no,
these are
this is brand new.
For
Well,
me.
when I have my head down in my laptop typing away, this is what I'm working on.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So anyway, that's the fallout rate. And if you look at this chart, you can see it's been pretty consistent all the way back to 2016. It's anywhere, the high was 23%, back actually toward when was this? This was in December, 24%. Not unusual to see a spike in December. Now, concessions, this is another one that we haven't really been able to zero into. And what this is the number of homes that closed where the seller gave a concession to the buyer. And so when we talk about a concession, that means a cost that's paid for by the seller that is, I want to say, customarily maybe a buyer cost, or it could be usually if it's a seller cost, or excuse me, a buyer cost paid by hold on, I got to get that definition right. We got to start over.
All the way over?
Well, no, I'm going to
Going
start
to
here.
close
Yeah.
with concessions.
Close with concession means that it's not a credit for repairs.
It
It's
can be,
it's not though.
but that's what people put it in.
It's not though. I've actually defined it.
Financial incentive or benefit offered by the seller to a buyer to make the property work or to finalize the sale.
Could be closing cost assistance, rate buy down, prepaid expenses, repair credits.
That's the most common.
I don't think that's the true. What does Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac say the true definition?
Is that how they
Yeah.
spell it? I know you wanted to speak to the computer.
We don't have to get into weeds on it, but I don't think technically repair credits are a seller concession. But we don't have to talk about it. Okay. All right. Sorry, Sam. Okay, we're gonna start back up. All right, and then and Tracy, the other one I want to jump into is this concessions. And if you're looking at this chart, you'll see during 21 through 22, through the whole crazy pandemic housing boom that we had going on, concessions were very low, just around 11% or as low as 12%, in that range. Meaning the seller gave the buyer some sort of concession, what they call as interesting party contribution in the mortgage world. And what it means is the seller's like helping out with buying down their mortgage rate, helping with closing costs, right? Anything that's customarily a buyer cost that the seller is paying for, which
Yep.
is allowed up to a limit on loans. That's what it is. But the thing that's interesting is if you look at this chart now, it's really spiked up over the last couple of years. And for May, it was almost 38% of the homes that closed in May, the seller gave some sort of concession.
And you know what's important about that, Tigo, is when we as realtors meet with potential home sellers, I like to make sure to tell them, hey, it will not be unusual for us to get an offer where they're asking for maybe some money towards buyer's closing costs to perhaps buy down the interest rate or just cover some of their costs to help them get into your home. I just like to give them a heads up.
Well, I think sellers just need to be aware of that, that again, 38% of the homes that close, and that's been pretty consistent now for the last few years. It's not uncommon at all to help buyers get into the home.
So one of the things I really noticed when you had both that chart up with both lines on it is that there was a huge drop off in both of them during the pandemic years early on. So people were, clamoring to get a house and they were taking it as is without repairs.
Put it back up.
Right?
Yeah. So right in here. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the course, it really, anyway, yeah. 21, 22.
And
Yep.
people stayed with those properties and sellers weren't giving concessions and buyers closed on them as is a lot of times.
Yeah.
And you know what's good about that is today, the people that fought hard to get a house during those years, they're sitting pretty, right? Those houses have appreciated nicely since they purchased. If you look at that chart, which I don't need you to pull up, but they should be sitting just fine knowing that they had to sometimes bid over list price to get the house during those years. So
I recorded, my market update like I do all the time, a monthly one. I just put it out. It's on YouTube. It's on my personal Facebook as well, Tigo Venturi. And one of the things that jumped out at me, Tracy, and we've been talking about this, is that there's less homes on the market this year than there is the same period last year, which is kind of counter what you would kind of think, because the market's slow but steady. And I say slow. Yeah, what does slow mean? it means that there's less homes selling now than there were in 2016, 17, 18, right? But it people aren't moving as often. People are staying put. Buyers are, in the market, but they're not, clamoring for the market. So we've seen this kind of moderate price appreciation, 1, 2%, maybe 3%, depending on where it is. But the thing that seems to come up a lot is, what are you waiting for? If you're a home buyer, sometimes we'll hear things or anecdotal things that people are like, well, I'm waiting for the mortgage rates to drop, or I'm waiting for something to happen, or I'm waiting for the market to crash. And so I thought it'd be interesting to kind of go through this. And so if you're waiting for the mortgage rates to drop, there's some pros and cons, right? Obviously, if mortgage rates go down, your cost burden is less because your monthly payment's going to be less if you're purchasing with a mortgage, right?
Right. But also, you're not necessarily locked into that rate forever.
Yeah, and I think that's something that it's kind of interesting that a lot of people don't understand that, yes, it's a 30-year mortgage, but you can always refinance mortgages. That's, there's no prepayment penalty for residential mortgages in New
Right.
Mexico.
Right.
And so, I mean, I really dislike that saying that, what was it? It was about marry the house, date the rate.
Yeah.
And it's kind of dumb. That was out there for a while because we don't know what mortgage rates are going to do. Buy what you can afford. And if rates go down and you can refinance into a lower payment, great, bonus, right? So the other question, Tracy, is, what if mortgage rates dropped a point right now? Do you think the market would pick up and there'd be more competition?
I do believe so. I think that people will probably pay more for the house if if they dropped a percent, right? There'd be
Right.
more people in the market to all of a sudden buy, and it would be tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why, I mean, I think about this, waiting, okay, waiting for the mortgage rates to drop. Okay, then what's the market going to be like at that point,
Right.
right?
Right. Good
And
thought.
so, and then the other one was, for buyers is, oh, the market's going to crash, right? We hear that one. Yeah,
Well,
I'll just say it this way: the market's not going to crash.
Well, and our listeners know, Tigo, the statistics and what we've told them about the next 5 years and things, and all the big brains around that study real estate say we're going to have slow, steady growth for the next 5 years.
Well, and we've had slow, steady growth for the last 3 years since mortgage rates went up. We're appreciating at 1 to 3% in the Albuquerque market. Now that's below the long-term average, and it won't be that way forever. But it feels like we've already gone through the pandemic correction, if you will.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about sellers.
Yeah.
What are sellers waiting for?
Well,
Are they waiting for the market to get better? Are they waiting to sell because they have a 3% mortgage?
I think it's all of the above. I think some of it's waiting for the market to get better, waiting so that they can get their price, whatever that is. And the market, like we just said, has been pretty moderate in price appreciation. I think the bigger thing for sellers right now is the cost of moving.
Yeah.
And
One of the things that doesn't come up in a lot of the stories and news you see on, why sellers might be waiting is I think sometimes it's overwhelming, the thought of selling,
it is.
the thought of packing.
Personally, Tracy, think about it. I mean, yeah, the thought of packing after living in a house for 25 years.
Yeah, having to
20
purge.
years,
We've been in
26.
25.
25.
We moved in 01.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, 25 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thought of having to make decisions, especially if you're downsizing, what are you going to keep? I'm working with some potential future luxury home sellers. Can't talk about it, but beautiful house. They've been married 57 years, I think is what he told me. Beautiful art, and it's a 3,900 square foot house, and they're going to go to a 2-bedroom condo potentially. Think of how overwhelming that could be. All having to pare down your life like that.
Yeah.
That's part of why people stay in their house.
Well, there's a term in economics called switching costs, and it's used in a lot of stuff, but it really applies in real estate because when you talk about switching costs, it's switching from a 3% mortgage to a 6% mortgage, but potentially. It's switching, it's the cost of the move, it's the cost of disrupting your life. it's all of that stuff. So yeah, I think all of that factors into why people just aren't moving up as often or moving down as often as maybe in the past.
Right.
We used to have more, we talk about move up buyers and move down buyers, or move up sellers and move down, and I think in both cases they're kind of sitting still to a certain extent.
Okay, one other thing.
Okay.
The cost, the mental and physical of getting your house ready for sale and knowing little things about your house that need to be fixed.
Oh my gosh.
Tigo,
Are you talking to me?
I am.
It's the I'm waiting to fix this first. But I mean, we have no intention of selling it, but it is. It's
You always say, "Oh my gosh, we could never sell. I have so many projects I
Yeah.
would need to do around the house." And
Well, it's all those little things after a while, right?
Well-
It's that mental punch list in the back of your head.
And a lot of
trust
those
me,
things are things that a buyer wouldn't even know.
Well,
In our case.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So
Anyway.
yeah, so I think that's it too. I'm waiting to get things fixed up and ready, which I mean that I think that's real. And so anyway, I mean, the truth is we're not trying to slam people in houses. It's like waiting could be a good strategy for you. I just think you have to look at, okay, if I'm waiting because of this, all right, what are the consequences down the road
Yeah.
is what I would say.
So I think waiting can be a strategy, but if it needs to be intentional, or it needs to be an intentional strategy, and the question isn't whether you should buy or sell today, the question is, what are you waiting for? What evidence would change your mind? And what is it that you're doing or not doing to make those decisions?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess you could apply that to just about every decision in your life, I guess, too. But, usually homes are one of the biggest financial decisions that people make. So
Right.
It's a big one. And that's why I think there's a lot of, I don't know, just uncertainty and what's the word I'm looking for?
Consternation? I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Stress.
Oh, stress.
Yeah. Yeah, stress. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, so anxiety. Anxiety was the word I was looking for.
I don't know. I wasn't reading your mind just now.
I know,
Normally
what the
I do.
heck? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we could keep going, but we appreciate everybody listening. We keep adding more stuff to our website. So if you want to check it out at welcomehomeabq.com, we've got full feature stories of all our homes that we have for sale now. We have all new market update information if you really want to dig into it. That's for the nerdy people that really want to look at it, dig deep into it. I've got some good goodies there. And of course, you can always call us if you want to talk about your real estate needs, and I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah. Phone number 505-448-8888, a simple one for you. So give us a call. We'd be happy to help. Is there anything that you'd like us to cover? Just let us know. We'd be happy to do it. Don't forget to subscribe and like and all of those things on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and
hit us up on all the socials.
All of the socials.
Yep.
Have a great weekend. It's Father's Day. Go celebrate. Do something special.
It's Father's Day.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Take care.